Hi, everyone. So as Brady said, back in the fall, Ray Ozzie came up to Microsoft and he asked if I would start a lab focusing on social experiences. So it's been about, I don't know, since October. And what I thought I would do today is show you 3 of the projects that we've been working on. 2 of them have already been launched, and I'll just give you a description and let you know what we've learned. And then one we're actually launching today. We kind of call it the Impossible Project. So more there. So let's see. All right. So the lab that I run is called Fuse. And some of the stuff that you've probably already seen, we've already released, as I said. So this is Bing Twitter, and one of the first things that we were really interested in doing is finding out how we could take all of this information coming out of search and really embed it in a tool out of Twitter, and how we could embed it into a tool that we think many, many people use every day. And so this almost seems like old news. She came up on stage last Web 2.0 in San Francisco and launched this. So what you see here are a bunch of trending topics, and if you click on one, my favorite one happens to be Mother's Day, you can find out what people in Twitter are saying about Mother's Day. And so this was about 6 months ago, and what I thought I'd do is talk about some of the other problems and issues and things that we're thinking about going forward with social search. So if you want, you can check it out, bingtwitter.com. And there's some really common technical problems that I think a lot of people are looking at and talking about with real-time search. So first is time. How do you handle time in search? We want it to be faster and more real-time, kind of more immediate. There's very unpredictable growth. So building the backend for this system was really challenging for us, and we actually built this on Windows Azure, which was pretty cool for us because it has this cool feature where it kind of can let you scale dynamically. So we really had no idea how much data there was going to be, and we keep getting additional data sources like the Facebook data source, et cetera. I'd love to have more information just to see what happens as we start putting communication information into search. We've also built the experimentation system in the release platform, so it's really the same infrastructure. So that's been great for us as a lab to be able to push more stuff out. But probably the key problem that we think is the hardest to solve is really getting quality data. And so we kind of focused in on this because it's a pretty hard problem. Some random person types in 140 characters, hits send, really has no idea or doesn't really care that it's going to show up on search. And how do we find out what's going to be meaningful to people? So we came from Microsoft Research, and so we hit up all of our research friends to say, go do all this machine learning and find some really cool stuff. And what we found kind of off the shelf was a product that we had acquired called Fast, which is really an enterprise search product. And maybe instead of fast, they should call it smart, because it has these really cool semantic capabilities. So on the left here, you see, this is just a mock-up of a portal that we built for internal use, but you can see all these portals. So if I search something like Dancing with the Stars, what this infrastructure lets us do is it does a really good job of extracting like parts of speech, so adjectives and what are people saying about a particular topic, what nouns and things are people talking about when they do this query, what companies and other entities are people talking about, what are locations that they're talking about, and what verbs and things are they using. But what's really cool about this infrastructure is not only does it come with a bunch of built-in filters, is you can actually author your own. So we've been adding everything basically that we have in the back end, like people with a lot of followers or people that get mentioned a lot and things like that. And we just think these are going to be great tools to let us present more interesting information to the end user. So lots of cool stuff coming out of Bing and search, and there's actually a session on this later. I think it's on Thursday, so I'm not going to go into this in detail, but you should definitely check it out. So Fast is a pretty interesting thing because it's an enterprise tool, and one of the things that we were really interested in isn't just about helping people socialize, but also help people get work done. And so we had this kind of simple idea of, well, it's interesting in search because all the short, simple things that you're communicating with people aren't necessarily getting out there in the world, but also the documents and things that you create, maybe in Word or PowerPoint or whatever authoring tool you use, also doesn't get out there on the web because they're still a little bit too hard to share. So we really thought about this, and we just launched this service last week, which is in limited beta. If you go to Docs.com, you can sign up, and we'll try to get as many people in possible. But Docs.com does something super simple. It just lets you either author, share, and edit Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Docs with all of your Facebook friends. And so it's been pretty cool because something kind of that straightforward and simple has just gotten this incredible response from people. So this is the homepage, and basically what you see are popular documents and your friends who are using Docs in Facebook. And then you can click on your friends' docs and see, what people are sharing. Here's an example of a doc where I can see, all my friends are commenting on it. And what's kind of cool with the new Facebook APIs is they let those comments embed either right in your feed, so it's super easy for people to discover and share, or you can access those, in your own site. So we'd be really interested in just seeing how teenagers use docs. Do they even use documents anymore? And what kinds of things might people want to share? And what does it even mean about document creation? Do we still want people to start with a blank page, or maybe the way that we think about docs might need to change? And so we're really looking at how people use this. So like I said, these are two projects. We've been pretty psyched because we've been able to get them out quickly from the lab. That was one of our goals, and hopefully a lot of people use them and find them useful. But one of the things that we really felt as we were doing some of the work with Bing and social search is that even if we do the most amazing job at extracting all of the best information out of the public feed, will it really give us what we want? And so most people aren't really that interested in what everybody else thinks and what's trending in Twitter. Really what you care about is what your own friends think is interesting or what you think is interesting. And so we've been thinking for a long time about how could we do kind of your own personal index that's archiving your own information for yourself, that's private, that you can edit and author and interact with, and possibly also share with your friends and make open if that's what you choose. And we call this project SpinDex. It's kind of a nerd name for your social personal index, but you might also think of it as like your modern Rolodex. And some of the reasons it's hard, we kind of have been talking about this for a while, is because the sort of cost and scale of some of these systems just sort of seems like a barrier to most people. But having done a lot of the work in Twitter and working with Azure, we really feel like we have a lot of strategies for managing unpredictable growth, also trying to get at data quality. And I think some of the most unique challenges about doing your own social personal index is to think of, today we have one index for everybody in the world. And you can't, it's kind of a one-way index. If you want to delete something, you can't. If you want to mark something up, it's really challenging. And so what is a two-way index? Like an index that you can actually interact with and modify and change and share, like what would that be? So anyway, let me give you a little demo. Let's see. So here's SpinDex, and it's actually pretty simple if you look at the UI. So what we have here is, this might be something that you think of when you see a lot of aggregators. Right now I have in my index my Twitter feed, my Facebook feed, RSS feeds. The app itself also has a feed, and Brady just said something about all of your devices and things sort of blowing information out. I just think it'd be interesting to think of what happens as more and more of your information gets pulled into your index. So for now I have Evernote, but we'd love to talk to people if they're interested in more sources sort of being aggregated in. And so what happens is I have my feed, and I can kind of do standard things, like I can search, happy or something like that, and it can search my index for people who've said happy, and I can also update and input content. But one of the things that we think is pretty interesting, and again, you've probably seen this on other sites, are your trending topics. One of the problems that I have with trending topics, I have this issue with trending topics on a lot of public internet, non-personal sites, but also my own, is that I have the same topics that trend over and over and over every single day. So if you look at my trending topics, I almost always have like the iPhone, now I have the iPad, Twitter, Foursquare, Google, Microsoft, those kinds of things tend to trend all the time. So what's kind of cool with this on the right side is I can actually click in and I get these sub-trends for topics. So it just lets me know really what's new about Twitter. So if I go in and I see, this thing, no Dexy, I don't really know what that means, I can figure out more about it. And I can actually look at who's been talking about that. So I see like my friend Mark Smith has been talking about it. So I can click on the post, I can open that up, find more information about it, and then what you see here is we're actually giving you more information about Mark And then we're also looking at what he said and using kind of that the smarts that I talked about before to try to pull information to you that's interesting about what the person is saying. And for me, this is great because I have a lot of really smart, much hipper than I am friends, and they're always talking about things that I don't know. I don't really know what they're talking about. And so this just brings that information to me rather than me reading my Twitter feed and then having to go out and find that information. And then we also do things like, if I find this interesting, I can save that query, and you can see the queries that I've saved here on the far side, so that the things that I really care about can stand out. So this is just kind of a start. We think it's really going to be interesting to see how people manage their own information. You can favorite things, you can add things, you can put whatever you want into your index. So I'd really encourage you guys to try it out. If you want to check it out, let's see. You can go to SpinDexMe, which is the URL. Here it is. One caveat, it's a very limited release, and so you'll have to sign up for access, and you do need a Windows Live account. We'll be working on more ways of authentication, so if you have a Windows Live account, you can sign up. There's a guy talking about this tomorrow as well, Matt McLaurin, and if you go to his session, he said he'd sign anybody up who wants to check it out. So anyway, we're pretty excited about the lab, the work that's coming out, and in a sense, the potential of all the cool social stuff that we can do in the future. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys.